Welcome back to Speak English with Men's. It's time for Lesson 5. This lesson is the last part of Workaholics. Let's start with listening to real talk conversation.
Rachel, one thing I don't envy about the average Korean company worker is the hours they work. They seem to be workaholics.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. They really need some more free time or more vacation days.
Yeah, for sure. Like in Europe, there are many examples. I think in France, they actually finish at around lunchtime on Fridays as well. So they have a 2.5-day weekend.
Okay.
And then many countries as well in Europe, they have at least 4 weeks off a year, 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
I think the States is kind of on par with Korea, like it has around 2 to 3 weeks off a year.
Right, I think so. And I don't think that they pull as many all-nighters though as Koreans do.
Sure.
Right. And I think that there is a rule about working a specific number of hours a week, and they can't exceed that because it kind of messes with their livelihoods.
Yeah, I think they've clamped down a lot in Korea on working too much overtime a week, but it's still like a big problem. And I think the issue though is it's a little bit of quantity over quality. Like I see lots of my Korean friends, they say they're working these long hours, but they have loads of coffee breaks or sometimes smoking breaks and things like that. And they're not actually doing quality work.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like their schedules are a little bit inefficient.
Yeah.
Like they could probably get all their work done within, less hours than they're actually clocking in at the company.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they spend a lot of time having meetings and things like that, which obviously are necessary to some extent.
Right.
But I think they go overboard in some situations.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess it works in some way because Korea has developed so much from that working ethics, that working culture that is really ingrained in our society.
Yeah.
But I do agree, and I think that companies are making more efforts for this. They're allowing families to have more time together by letting their employees leave earlier on Fridays. I think they have like Family Week or Family Friday or something like that.
Yeah, and I think Korea, it was playing catch up, for a lot of the 90s, 80s and 70s. But now that it's got to that level on par with many developed nations, I think it needs to scale back its working time and focus more on leisure.
It's now time for actual expression. Let's take a look at these words and then move on. Workaholic, which is today's topic. That's why I put it up here, just to let you know a synonym. This is rather informal, slang. Workaholic is also called a workhorse. What about clamp down? It means to prevent, put a stop or an end to something. And clock in, you can clock in. In today's actual talk, clocking in is used. When you clock in, means to begin or to start work. And the opposite is what? Clocking out means to finish work. Okay, go overboard means to overdo something, to do too much of something or to say too much, is going overboard. Ingrain means to fix or to set, especially to implant in the mind or in the nature. Ethics, we were talking about beliefs or even standards or an individual's value. Scale back or scale down. It's used both ways. Scale back, scale down means to reduce or to decrease in the level of activity or even number of something. Okay, let's move on to our first pattern. Average something. We were talking about the average Korean company worker. We're just talking about an average person, like you and me. You can say, what's the salary of an average doctor? A doctor in general. And then another one is, I think the height of an average Korean female is 165 centimeters. Now I'm not sure about this, but I added 165 because that's how tall my wife is. So that's just an example. You can say, I think the height of an average Korean female is so and so. Pull an all-nighter. Keep in mind, pull an all-nighter or pull all-nighters, add an S there. It means to spend time doing something overnight and not sleeping. I'm going to have to pull an all-nighter, meaning I'm going to have to work or study all night, without sleeping. And this one, I remember pulling all-nighters during exam week in school. So you can talk about perhaps your middle school days, high school days, even college days, and say, I remember staying up all night studying. You can say, I remember pulling all night, during exam week in school. And our final pattern is on par with someone or something, means to be equal. My boss said that my effort was not on par with what was expected from me. It was not equal. It was not the same. It didn't balance. So he's saying that his boss expected much more from him. But his work was not good enough. My boss said that my effort was not on par with what was expected from me. And one last sentence. Did you really think that you were on par with me? This could sound mean, but you can say, hey, did you really think you and I were the same? You and I are equal? You can say, do you really think that you were on par with me? Okay, keep these patterns and phrases and vocab in mind. Now it's time for actual story. Are you ready?
I think one of the common misconceptions is that the more you work, the better your work is or the more effective it is, but really that's not the case. A lot of people, they work really late at night and they work on weekends so that they could have better work, but sometimes it prevents you from doing your best. When your body and your mind is refreshed and recharged, you're more creative, you have more energy, and your work is just naturally better. So I think it's better not to be a workaholic. I would suggest that people try to go home before dinner time. Go home, have dinner with your family and your friends, and just do things that you want to do, like, I don't know, watch TV, just enjoy life, because life is really precious and it goes by really fast. So it's not good to just spend all your time working. I mean, it's better to do things that you want to do.
Okay, today Mary once again shared her thoughts with us. Let's check out what she has mentioned. She said, I think one of the common misconceptions or wrong idea people have is that the more you work, the better your work is. So since you said it is a misconception, she's saying, this is not exactly true. I agree. But really, that is not the case. That's right. That's not the case. It's not true. A lot of people work really late at night and work on the weekend, but sometimes it stops you from doing your best. That's true. Just because you work on the weekends, just because you stay up all night working, does not mean that the results will be the best. That's exactly what she's saying. And she did also add that, when your body and mind is refreshed and recharged, that is when you can be more creative, because you can concentrate more.
I think one of the common misconceptions is that the more you work, the better your work is or the more effective it is, but really that's not the case. A lot of people, they work really late at night and they work on weekends so that they could have better work, but sometimes it prevents you from doing your best. When your body and your mind is refreshed and recharged, you're more creative, you have more energy, and your work is just naturally better. So I think it's better not to be a workaholic. I would suggest that people try to go home before dinner time. Go home, have dinner with your family and your friends, and just do things that you want to do, like, I don't know, watch TV, just enjoy life, because life is really precious and it goes by really fast. So it's not good to just spend all your time working. I mean, it's better to do things that you want to do.
Well, that's a wrap for Actual Story. Time flew by very fast today. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and of course learned a lot, while you had fun with me. Today we talked about the workaholics, and focused even more on how much time people in Korea put in working or at the office. Okay, that is a wrap for today, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again next time. Until then, bye.